Mark Desmond, aka the Blockbuster, origin explored. The number of enemies that Batman and Robin have had over the years is unparalleled. But guess what? They are not the only superheroes with a nemesis. As it turns out, even Nightwing has his fair share of rivals to deal with. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another adventurous video with marvelous videos. For all our DC fans, today we have the story of origin of how a villain gained his immense physical strength with the help of a serum. I'm pretty sure you know who we're talking about, none other than Blockbuster. Starting as the primary enemy of Batman, Blockbuster is the name of a villain whose identity was eventually passed down to 4 villains appearing in the DC comics. The first Blockbuster is Mark Desmond, primarily a chemist, and was created by Gardner and Carmine Infantino. He was eventually retconned by Tom Lyle and Roger Stern and made his first appearance in Detective Comic issue number 345. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thanks so much. Let's begin. Blockbuster Dark Origin from Young Justice. This story begins on a nice summer's day in Gotham City. Well, it's not that pleasant for too long because it looks like Mr. Freeze has some plans to create chaos. A projectile stops his attack. Now, obviously, we would assume that Batman has arrived, but you assumed wrong. It's our enthusiastic boy wonder, more commonly known as Robin, that intercepts. And just when Mr. Freeze thinks he can take down Robin, Batman enters to give him a good punch. Now, on the other side, on the Star City's suspension bridge, Icicle Jr. seems to be making a mess with his cryokinetic powers. And why, you may ask, would he cause such havoc? He just wants some good old attention from the superheroes of the city. So he does manage to attract the interest of Green Arrow and Speedy. But one good blow to his jaw, and the heroes have Icicle Jr. just where they need him. We are now taken to Pearl Harbor, where a rather chilly Killer Frost appears to be fighting Aquaman and Aqualad on a battleship. Something is definitely quite special about this day because our heroes are pretty excited. After knocking Killer Frost out, we meet Flash and Kid Flash at Central City, who have caught Captain Cold red-handed as he attempted to rob a gem depository. Quite an icy fight that was. It now looks like all the heroes we've just met have arrived at the Hall of Justice, the headquarters of the Justice League in Washington, D.C. They are met by Martian Manhunter and Red Tornado. So apparently the heroes' sidekicks have been waiting for this day because it seems to be an initiation for them to officially become part of the League headquarters. Following a heated argument about not being given access to the actual headquarters of Justice League, which is the Watchtower, Speedy storms out. Just then, they receive some information from Superman that there's a fire at Project Cadmus. Zatara comes with another pressing matter that involves Wotan using the amulet of Aten to blot out the sun. So, since it is a League mission, the mentors leave Robin, Kid Flash and Aqualad behind to face Wotan. And it's no surprise that these young heroes are now pursuing their own mission to find out about Cadmus. After reaching Cadmus, obviously they discovered things that did not seem normal. A group of G-Trolls are stomping down the corridor. On the other side, Dr. Desmond is occupied with what looks like a hideous chemical experiment. There are massive tubes that are labelled Project Blockbuster in his hidden facility underneath the fake Cadmus front. Coincidence? I don't think so. He is up to something evil because he seems to be running an army of genomes. Kid Flash, Robin and Aqualad have found other hidden creatures that are apparently being born in this facility. They're called genomorphs, and according to Robin's data, it looks like they have some super deadly powers. They're soon attacked by Guardian and his genome soldiers. After escaping them, the 3 then head over to uncover the secret about Project KR. It appears to be a solar suit clone made from DNA stolen from Superman that allows him to absorb yellow sun radiation 24/7. He is also being force-fed information through the genomorph gnomes. Our hero's attempt to save him is successful and he is set free. So it turns out that the gnomes were not the most significant trouble that's heading towards the Justice League. Well, now it seems that the three sidekicks have gotten themselves into quite a predicament since they're being held hostage at Cadmus. Dr. Desmond has contacted Cadmus' board of directors and they have given the orders. The sidekicks are to be cloned and the originals are supposed to die without any trace, of course. Aqualad, Kid Flash and Robin are trying to convince Superboy that Cadmus is not actually his home and that he deserves a life. It was a very heartfelt conversation indeed, but it is soon interrupted by Dr. Desmond. He controls both Guardian and Superboy with the help of his genomes and makes sure every step of the way to remind Superboy that he is not a real boy, but a weapon. The sidekicks are now in great danger because the cloning process has begun. However, it looks like Aqualad has somehow been able to speak to Superboy telepathically, and he has had a change of heart. He rescues the heroes, but the fight is just getting started because Dr. Desmond just ordered the activation of all genomorphs in Cadmus. It's like a red alert zone with genomes and G-trolls crawling everywhere. All four of them fight their way to the elevators only to discover that Superboy can't fly. Hopefully that's not the end for them because Robin, with his hacking skills, and Kid Flash with his speed are trying to figure out a route to escape. Just then, the facility goes on lockdown and all the genomorphs surround the heroes. The scene appears to be of a rebellion because the head of the genomorphs revealed to Superboy that he was the one who lured his friends to the facility and has been helping them so far. They think that Superboy is their hope for freedom and the genomorph hero. As soon as Superboy chooses freedom, Guardian becomes free from his mind control. But their little rebellion is soon disrupted by Dr. Desmond, who holds the tube from Project Blockbuster. After drinking the Blockbuster formula, Desmond is transformed into a giant, devilish creature. And despite how strong our heroes are, Blockbuster beats them to a pulp. Robin gets a brilliant idea that involves collapsing the building on Blockbuster. Each of them tricks him into destroying the pillars. And before you know it, Blockbuster is buried under a pile of rocks. As promised, the three sidekicks succeed in showing Superboy the moon. At that moment, Superman arrives, accompanied by the entire Justice League. Superboy finally introduces himself as Superman's clone. Now, of course, Blockbuster will be dealt with, but the sidekicks have taken this opportunity to strongly voice their actual opinions about being involved in the League. Go big or go home, right? The young heroes are taken to Mount Justice, where the secret sanctuary, the old headquarters of the Justice League, is located. Red Tornado is going to be their supervisor, along with Black Canary as their trainer. So, now that we've shared this story about Blockbuster, there is another quite exciting story to be shared. Blockbuster's first appearance in comic. This story begins with Bruce Wayne out at sea, being forced to take refuge on an island due to the heavy downpour. He saves Mark Desmond from being engulfed in a bog of quicksand, and along with his brother Ronald Desmond, Bruce catches a ride back to the mainland the following day. Months have gone by since this incident. Suddenly, one day in Gotham City, Batman and Robin come across a rather odd event. The police tell them that apparently a man has made a giant hole in the wall of a bank with nothing but brute strength, as if the wall were made out of tissue paper. When the police open fire on him, their bullets flatten out after hitting his body and bounce off. Giving the name credit to Robin, the press calls this man the Blockbuster Bandit. Now, after patiently waiting for him to make another appearance, Batman and Robin finally receive word one night that he's been spotted at the Tolliver Art Gallery. The heroes seem to be ready to fight him with their special weapons. As said by Robin, it would seem that Blockbuster is bigger and stronger than even Frankenstein's monster. However, Robin manages to cuff with the links that are made of the strongest steel possible. But his muscles start to bulge and he is able to break free from it. The next attempt was tear gas, but even that failed to work on him. Even Batman's punches did not manage to do a lot of harm. Just then, Blockbuster smashes through the wall with the wounded Batman and Robin in his arms. Throwing them on a swarm of policemen standing outside the building, Blockbuster races off into a sewerway and disappears. Well, after this incident, our dynamic duo discuss their next strategy with the Gotham City Police Commissioner, Gardner. They decide that they're going to let him steal whatever he wants while watching him from above in the Batcopter to follow him and find out where his hideout is located. It finally happens. Blockbuster makes his next appearance at the City Museum, where Batman and Robin follow him in the Batcopter. He appears to be heading towards the harbours and into the sea. Batman realizes that he's heading towards the same island where he had rescued the boy Mark Desmond. After a few minutes, the Batcopter seems to have gotten out of control due to some sort of high-frequency interference. With the radio signals jammed as well, it looks like our heroes are on their own. A blade from the Batcopter snaps, and Batman and Robin are stranded on top of a tree when Blockbuster recognizes them. Trying their best to dodge Blockbuster's attacks, they finally arrive at a house where Batman had stayed with Ronald and Mark Desmond. Thinking very hard, Batman finally comes to the conclusion that Blockbuster is, in fact, Mark Desmond, the scrawny little kid he saved from the quicksand bed. Realizing this, Batman removes his uniform at the right moment, as if to remind Mark Desmond of Bruce Wayne, his savior. Blockbuster shows some hesitation, but after a brief pause, he continues to attack Bruce Wayne, while Robin goes to look for the brains behind this masterpiece, Ronald Desmond. In a further pursuit to trigger Blockbuster's memories, Batman heads towards the quicksand and reenacts precisely what had happened to Mark that night Bruce saved him. Just then, as he had predicted, the unimaginable happens. Blockbuster tries to save Bruce Wayne with a branch, the same way he had saved Mark Desmond. But it looks like Batman is in a fix. If he goes back to being Batman, Blockbuster will attack him. However, if he stays as Bruce Wayne, Ronald Desmond will come to know of his secret of doubled identity. In the meantime, Robin has knocked out Ronald, and Batman tells him to take him to the boat, leaving Blockbuster on the island alone for a while. So it turns out that Mark himself was behind the creation of the Blockbuster. He developed a serum that made him the way he is. An overactive anterior lobe of the pituitary gland made him shoot up like a giant, while also giving him tremendous strength. But since he never bothered to test his invention first, a faulty endocrine gland retarded his mental development. So, in order to retrieve Blockbuster, Bruce Wayne disguised himself as Ronald Desmond because the bandit only obeys his brother. However, Batman and Robin are stunned when they discover that his footprints lead into the sea. It appears that Blockbuster has cut himself off from the world and doomed himself to live apart from his fellow human beings. Quite ironic, because he seems to have chosen to serve a sentence of solitary confinement for his crimes. A Blockbuster interesting story arc. After some marvellous fighting sessions with Batman and Robin, it looks like it's time for Blockbuster to encounter some other members of the Justice League. In Batman issue 194, Fox, Moldoff and Giella introduced Blockbuster for the first time after his encounter with the Justice League and Justice Society in the previous issues. The Justice League story ended with Blockbuster's defeat at the hands of Solomon Grundy. Blockbuster is now in therapy and also a fully functional employee of the Wayne Foundation, receiving a stable salary. One day, Blockbuster comes upon a picture of Batman when he was out spending his money on toys. He immediately goes on a rampage when he remembers his previous encounters with Batman. He destroys the picture, soon appears calm, and returns to his friendly attitude. The cops take Blockbuster back to the Wayne Foundation so that scientists can determine what triggered the fit of rage. Once again, at the slightest mention of Batman's name, Blockbuster has another extreme reaction, destroying the wall and going on another rampage. Commissioner Gordon then contacts Batman and Robin for assistance, sending the dynamic duo after the confused beast. When Batman catches him wrecking Batman merchandise once again in a department store, he uses his standard method of exposing his actual identity as Bruce Wayne, which always calms the monster down since Blockbuster considers Wayne a friend. This, however, goes horribly wrong this time when Blockbuster realizes that Batman and Bruce Wayne are the same person and continues his assault. A second effort to mimic Blockbuster's brotherly voice equally fails. Blockbuster then knocks Batman down and Robin falls into line soon after. The perplexed Blockbuster then returns to his home island, where he tries to reenact the accident that resulted in his human alter ego being saved by Bruce Wayne many years ago. Plunging into quicksand. By this time, Batman has recovered and heads straight to Blockbuster's location. Batman arrives on the island shortly after failing to save Blockbuster, who is now on the loose once more, and he lets himself be attacked in the dark. He is then thrown into the quicksand, but of course with an excellent purpose in mind. Batman plans to trick Blockbuster, so he arrives wearing a mask that makes him look like Solomon Grundy. Blockbuster saves Grundy from the bog of quicksand since he considers him a friend. After coming out of the quicksand, Grundy then drags Blockbuster back into it. When the monster cries for help, Batman unmasks his Solomon Grundy disguise and rushes to help Blockbuster, appearing as Batman. With Blockbuster rescued from the mud, the Beast now believes that Batman and Solomon Grundy are the same person and view the caped crusader as a friend. This successfully puts a stop to any other Blockbuster rampages in the future. What makes Blockbuster deadly? Well, as we know, Mark Desmond was a chemical genius, so it goes without saying that the first Blockbuster definitely had a mind of his own with considerable great intellect. Even while fighting the four heroes in Young Justice, Blockbuster showed some kind of strategy. Although in this comic appearance, he is just a mindless brute who is controlled by his devious brother, Ronald Desmond. He is taller than even Frankenstein, so one can assume he would not be easy to tackle. Some of his prominent powers are his invulnerability, which allows him to withstand any amount of physical damage that his opponent might cause. He also has superhuman speed, strength and stamina, which is quite evident through his many encounters with the heroes. Mark Desmond, aka Blockbuster, is one of those DC villains who need to have a beware sign outside his place of residence. Because it's clear from his story that if he can knock out even the dynamic duo of Batman and Robin, then indeed no one else stands a chance against him. He could be considered as an excellent example of a chemistry experiment gone completely wrong, because what good is a body with superhuman strength without a mind of its own? Well guys, that's it for today. We've come to the end of another origin video with Marvelous Videos. Hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we enjoyed making it for you. Make sure you click on like and hit that subscribe button on your way out so that you never miss out on any of our videos. Also, do comment below and tell us what did you like most about this story. Until next time, stay safe and take care. Have a fantastic day.
Everyone back!